Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Chamber University. Our topic today is cybersecurity during COVID-19. My name is Tony Moline. I'm with the Cedar Park Chamber of Commerce. Before we get started, I want to let you know this will be recorded for you to view later if you need to, and for you to send out to people who you think this may help. I want to take a moment to thank Cedar Park Economic Development for being our presenting sponsor for our Chamber University series. Today, our speaker is Mr. Eyal Gallico with TopMac IT Solutions. Gallico, as he is better known, started TopMac with his nearly 20 years of experience in computers and all aspects of IT. After years of helping many people with questions ranging from their computer problems, network, home theater, and conducting workshops in Cedar Park, Leander, and Round Rock, TopMac IT Solutions was born. Originally from Israel, Gallico moved to Texas as soon as he could. Please help me in welcoming virtually Eyal Gallico. Mr. Gallico, the floor is yours.
Can I turn the video on?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Thank you, Tony, for the introduction. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had to run away from Israel as fast as I can. So first of all, everybody, good morning. How are you doing today? They cannot hear me. I cannot hear them?
Very
okay.
Good.
It's fine.
Can hear you.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about cybersecurity, especially during COVID-19. I'm going to keep it into two sections. The first one is I'm going to talk about the layout of cybersecurity, especially in the past 6 months. And then in the second part of the presentation, I'll talk about some ways that you can protect your business. Now, it's going to be a very simple presentation. It's not very technical. So try to keep it very simple so you don't have to get too crazy. If you have questions, feel free to ask during the presentation. Okay, so let's start with that. So one of the first thing we get asked is, why do we need IT, right? That's one of the oldest questions we get is like, why do we need IT? We're a small shop, mom and pop sometimes, or we are a 50-user company. It doesn't matter. IT expert will usually give you the right advice regarding your hardware and software and how to protect your business. It will give you the right recommendation for backup, cybersecurity measures, network design if you have it, and your workflow. Like what's the best way to save the documents on your computer or your server, or how do you manage them, and who do you give access, for example. IT companies will also give you help desk services. If you are, I want to say, more than 5 people company, usually there is demand for help desk, like if it's a small problem with the printer or more severe issue with a computer's network, Outlook, I mean, you name it, help desk can give you this support. Let's talk about trends. So this is a slide from the past 6 months from a company called SonicWall, one of the biggest security companies in the world for threat management. So as you can see from the numbers in the back, we had 33% decrease in malware attacks, 32% decrease in encrypted threats, cryptojacking, intrusion attempts, ransomware attacks, and IoT. So let's talk about some of the definitions here. I'm going to go from the right to the left in this case. IoT, Internet of Things. Like this is all your smart thermostat at home, light bulbs, smoke detectors, anything that is not computerized, but help you make your life better, I want to say. Your automatic aquarium fish feeder, your light, your AC, blind system, everything that is like something like that is considered an IoT. Ransomware attack, very simple. we're going to dive into that a little bit later. But we had some trends that is going down and some trends that goes up. Again, it depends. Usually the crooks will adjust based on what people do and where they are. So let's start diving a little bit about some cybersecurity. The practice of cybersecurity is defending your computers, your network, your assets from outside intrusion, okay? The goal of that, of course, is secure information, prevent leaks, theft, or extortion of you in regards for your data. Okay, let's keep it very simple. What are the bad guys are after? PII, personal identifying information, network access, business credentials, executive emails, address and passwords, and money. In the end, they want to have something, a leverage over you, so they can get something out of you. Might be money, might be access to the network, to extort other people, to steal proprietary information, intellectual property from the companies, or just harm your network. Everything is a legit way to get what they want. Let's talk about social engineering. That's one of the easiest way to lose your stuff, I want to say, right? Social engineering is the practice of having an interaction with someone or chat, for example, and by a nice way, they extort, I want to say, the information they need from you. And it's very, very easy. So probably the easiest way, the easiest example I can say is like we see it in new companies that employees get calls from quote unquote their help desk. I said, hey, we need some information here. And then because they think it's their help desk, they give the information out, even though it's not their help desk. Someone just like got their information out. So here's a small short video about how actually it's done.
You want to do a sample phishing call? What's phishing? Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically, what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack. Let's do it. Who are you going to call? Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and see if I can get them to give me your email address. I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it. I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's coming from you. Okay. Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for usage information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com?
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her set up for this. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're gonna have to go on and change your password right now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
That's it. So this is just one example what social engineering looks like. If you think about it these days, our cell phone, right, if we hold this thing, pretty much holds our life over there. We are using this for email. We get text codes like from the bank, hey, verify your identity or stuff like that, right? So if someone gets access to your phone account, he can literally spoof your phone number, get a fake SIM card with your number, and can literally just access all your information. That's pretty easy and done. Let's talk about some phishing emails. I see there is some questions here. Okay, where is my questions? Chat, it doesn't open. Okay, let me too loud. Here we go. Sorry for that. So let's talk about phishing emails, right? Phishing emails is probably the most dominant way to access people information. Phishing emails is someone is trying to access your system by luring you via an action, a picture, or a link to open an email, right? These days, 83% of the attacks come from phishing emails. So phishing emails like usually get like an email that looks from your CEO, CFO, from a friend. It might be, hey, can you help me with this? Or look at that nice picture of a nice cat, for example, or hey, I need you to wire me money. They come in different ways, in different varieties, but they are getting better every day. They look very convincing and people fall for them. So let's just look at some, oh, where's my mouse? Examples, okay? So again, this is some basic ones. You can see that people like when you get, I'm looking at the one on the right, for example, right? It looks like it just came from Microsoft. But if you look at the email address, for example, College on Ontario, doesn't make sense. Dear user, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Look at the email address, who is the sender, right? Check their English. Even as a foreign guy, you can see that the English is not very good. Spelling mistakes, grammar is bad. Small stuff to watch out. Another example. Okay, let's talk about all the phishing emails from PayPal, Apple, or stuff like that. Here's a small trick. These companies will never ever send you an email that has dear user or dear friend. Company that has your information, like Apple, for example, when you get an email from Apple, it will be, hey, dear Eyal Gallico. So they will have your name on the email. That means that they know your credentials, your information, and then send an email directly to you. Most of the phishing emails will have like very generic dear user, dear friend, dear participant, stuff like that. That's the first red flag you need to see when you get this email. Again, someone is trying to like, hey, wire us some money. That's not a good idea, for example. Can give you in a case of a story. Part of our training that we did is we had a company that went to Asia for meet investors for preparing for IPO. The CEO went on a roadshow and the CFO stayed here in the USA. While he was in Asia, the CFO got an email from the CEO that he needs $5,000 wire to complete a transaction with the investors here. The CFO, assuming because the email just got from the CEO, that's a legit email. In the email, there were wire information for the bank and everything for the SWIFT. The CFO wired $5,000 to the CEO. A few days later, when the CEO was back here in the state, the CFO told him like, hey, I wired you the money, blah, blah, blah. And then the CEO, I don't know what you're talking about. This is a prime example of like someone stealing the CEO or phishing his email credentials and information and sending that out to the other C-suite in the company and trying to lure them out to do an action. In this case, the CFO fell for the action and sent the money because the email came from his CEO, even though it was not his CEO. That's another example of phishing emails. Another one, that's another one from Outlook, for example. Look at the dates, time, of course. Check your someone. So in this one, it says, for example, say ADP portal. But if you look at the email, for example, it says MRE CIC Gov AR, doesn't make sense, right? My ADP port, it doesn't just make sense. And of course, sincerely, where is your name, information, who sent that? Another trick that you can do to verify that if the sender is correct, you can hover with your mouse over the link. And usually in the bottom of the email, it will show you the full link. So you don't have to click on the link. You can just hover with the mouse over that, and it will show you the original link. So let's say, in this case, like my ADP port, but if you hover the link, say it says like RUTG or Rutgers EDU. So that's not actually what the link is forwarding you. So it's another way, a tip and trick to avoid. Ransomware. Let's talk about ransomware. That's probably the biggest threat to our infrastructure in the past 3 years. It became literally the prudent way to extract money from people. So in the past, users used to like try to get steal some information, maybe sell it. Now they find a way to literally extort money from you. So how does ransomware work? You get a phishing email, you get a link, and then when you click on the link or you open something in the email, nothing happens. You don't see anything happens, nothing. But in the background, you just got injected with a virus or software, malicious software that actually in the background working and encrypting all your files one by one with a bank level or higher encryption. This is not something that you can just hack very easily. It's something that you have to be aware of. Now, this thing is pretty smart. They get better at that every year. When they are done encrypting your whole computers, that can take two days, can take like a week. While this thing is happening, you don't know it's happening. Your computer is working normally. When the last file is encrypted, you usually get this window. Okay, so that's an example of what usually you see. Like they give you usually 72 hours to pay the ransomware. So why we call it ransomware? Let's say, I'm going to take a bad case here, but let's say someone kidnap your kids and ask you for ransomware for your kids, right? You're going to pay. In this case, our asset is digitals. It's going to be our files on the computers, can be our network access, our servers, our backup. These days, they can literally encrypt everything they want. And they want you to pay them a ransomware. And the ransomware depends on what kind of computer you have. It's going to be a desktop, laptop, Windows 10, a server, is it going to be a network switch, or how many computers are affected on the network. The ransomware is going to be based on that. Might be just like a couple of fraction of a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a digital currency that is untraceable. Right now, the value it's around $12,000 per Bitcoin. So for low ransomware, you'll need to pay the equivalent of like $300. We heard of like big cases that been on the news that they ask for like a few millions. So usually you get a window like that. Again, depending on the author of the ransomware, you get 72 hours to pass the ransomware, or in this case, we just delete your data. There is no way to decrypt the files back. They use a very high level encryption algorithm. It's in most cases it's higher than banks, so there is no way to decrypt that. If you don't have a solid and a good and a tested backup, you literally just lost everything. The only way around it is just wipe the machine completely and start from scratch. That's one example. So that's something that happens 2017. It was one of the biggest ransomware attacks in the world. It started in UK. This ransomware took down the whole UK health system for 2 weeks. It affected all their hospital computers, MRI, scanners, stuff like that. They had to postpone surgeries because of that ransomware attack. Another example, I mean, you might get like this. That's another way of like scaring you, like a tactic, like something with FBI, DOD. It's all just a way to extort the money out from you. Another example, Prism. Again, in the end, they give you your IP number. They ask you to pay the money. We saw in the past year and a half, as ransomware cases has been spiking up, they are really, really getting better at that. How better? In the new ransomware attack windows, you will have a 1-800 number in the bottom that you can call, and they have the attackers will have their own help desk that will help you acquire Bitcoin and pay the ransomware. Now, you're probably wondering like, okay, so I paid them the ransomware. Who guarantees that they'll give us the key back? The bad guys or the hackers learned that, like, in most cases, like, they do give the encryption key back to the people that they encrypt their machines. Like, it's a way of trust, because if not, people will never pay them. Like this, they know that, like, hey, someone paid us, we'll give them the key back. That's in one way, it's a comfort. One of my close friend got hit by ransomware. He had all these kids' photos on his computers. And unfortunately, that's not something you can restore. He didn't have a backup. He had his kids' pictures since they were like 6 months old. They were like 7 years old when it happened. It's not something you can recreate. So unfortunately for him, he paid the $1,500 ransomware. Okay, let's talk about how to protect your business. So we got some information about the stuff that can happen out in the wild. We want to say that. Let's talk about some ways that you can protect and be aware to secure your business. So there's a few subjects. We're going to dive into each one of them. The first one is backup and disaster recovery. Second one is IT policies, encryption, public-private network separation, password managers, user management, VPN or virtual private network, software and system updates. So let's dive a little bit. Backup. We have a rule here in our IT, it's called 1, 2, 3. You always want to have the first copy on your machine, the second one somewhere on a flash drive or USB drive, and the third one is always in the cloud, right? You always want to have 3 copies. So this is just for an example from Backblaze, one of the biggest backup companies in the world. How often people back up their information. So you can see 2008, 35% of people never back up their stuff. 20% once a year. 14% monthly, 18% year plus, 7% weekly, and 6% daily. If you think about it, your business relies on this backup, right? Only 6% of people back up daily. Let's jump to 2018. The daily still sit at 6. That's pretty bad. Weekly jump to 11. Monthly jump to 17. Yearly, that's actually a bad number, went to 26. You back up your assets only once a year, and 24% never, and then 17% year plus. That's pretty horrendous. If you care for your business, you need to do a daily backup. Okay, that's one of the things I like to say. Like, first rule of Fight Club, have a backup. You always have to have a backup. Second rule of Fight Club, have a backup. Third rule of Fight Club, what do you mean you don't have a backup? We get it all the times. We get clients call us and my computer crashed, it was hit by lightning, something happened. The first question we ask, where is your backup? 90% of the cases, I don't have one, mine is too old, I haven't tested that, or God knows what, the dog ate my backup. This is something that is very vital. Something eventually will happen to your computer, your network, your assets. You always have to be prepared for when it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. We had a client that lightning hit his building, direct hit. When we came the next morning, his whole infrastructure were like down, like burnt crisp, like computers, network, switches, everything was down. When he called us early in the morning, is like the first question is like, where is your backup? And that was like in July, and he told us like our backup is 5 months old. This is a business that generates around $200,000 per month revenue. Eventually, we managed to rescue his data from the drive that fried. We got a call from his CPA that night telling us thank you for saving his business. That the client was not aware of that, but losing 5 months of revenue files or income or any kind of invoicing, he'll have to go and prove to the IRS that he does business, what kind of business, and then good case scenario, they're going to audit him. Worst case scenario, they're just going to shut him down. So always have a backup. You need to have a local backup, a cloud backup, or a hybrid. It can be a local and cloud, of course. And very vital rule, you need to test your backup. We hear it all the time. I have a backup. When is the last time you tested that? Never. Here's another trick that the hackers know. They know that people don't test their backup. We've seen cases of hackers attacking the companies. They found the backup service on the network, and usually you get this like green dot, like, hey, the backup is complete. And they managed to check the green dot even though there was nothing behind it. The backup was empty. They ran that stuff for 6 months straight before attacking the company. When the company went back to the backup, all their backups 6 months going back were empty. Even though the system was showing up perfectly good, they never tested the backup. So always test your backup. Say at least every 6 months. I would recommend every 2-3 weeks or every month, depending on your stuff. Make sure you test it. IT policies and user management. Limit access to necessary files. It's very prudent in the small companies, usually the owner and few company and the few employees. They just like, hey, you know what? Here's our shared folder. Here's our Dropbox, and just give everybody access to everything. That's a wrong way to go with this way. You need to limit the access, who gets access to what file and what. You don't want your employees to get access to your HR files or payroll system, for example, right? Only your CPA and the business owner needs to get access to your accounting, or only your HR lady needs to get access to your HR files, for example. By default, don't give access to everything to every employee. I know it's very simple to give access to everything, but take some time and think like who gets access to what do they need, and create the separation or the file hierarchy in your file servers, Dropbox, Google Drive, and create these roles that like, hey, this person or this group of people get access only to these folders. Company policies. We always encourage companies to have policies, IT policies, we call it. What kind of software you can use, what kind of files do you have access for, and application to use. You always want to prevent people installing their own software on your company's machine. This is your company asset. That means you dictate what software they can use. We see too many people in companies like, hey, we have this computer, and then the clients want to install like a Facebook game or some software that can help him, and then hacking happens through this software on unsecure application. So be aware what you can install your machines, software applications, stuff like that. Two-factor authentication. That become very adamant, very prudent in the past few months. You can enable two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication in multiple ways. You have it for banking, for applications, online access. If you have the option, you can even do it in Amazon. If you have the option to do a 2FA, by all means, enable that. The reason that if someone does manage to get your credentials, the moment they will try to access a website, and it will ask for the 2FA, it will usually be on your phone, or you'll have a specific application that you have your 2FA on that. And usually most of them will not have that. The 2FA number changes every 30 seconds. That's a very great way to secure your accounts, any kind of accounts. Fourth thing, mobile device management. If you cell phones to employees, there is a way for you to control what kind of application they can install. If they can allow the camera access, scanners, for example, or if they are allowed to install their own applications, right? Most people have on their cell phones, they have their company emails. There is a way to control it in case you lose or your phone will get lost. You can wipe remotely the device like this, keeping your company, your employee email integrity high. Talk about encryption here. Encrypt your file servers. I can't emphasize it enough. If you have a computer's servers, by default, or most Windows 10 machines or servers, of course, you can encrypt your files on the machine. That's a way to guarantee that if by any bad chance someone burglarize your office or steal your hardware, they will not have access to your files. You 100%, absolutely, definitely for sure, need to do it on laptops. Laptops by name are mobile devices, right? People take them home, put them in their car. You have to encrypt your laptops. You have to encrypt the whole drive. With a case, someone left their laptop in the car and someone just like burglarized the car and just stole the laptop. Unfortunately for them, they had some very important documents that they lost over there and they could not retrieve. Again, another small tip, never leave your laptop inside the car, always put it in the trunk so it's not visible. The less stuff that can lure people into trying to break the car, the better. When you encrypt your computers or files, you'll get like an encryption key. It'll be a file. They'll ask you sometimes to put it on a flash drive or print it and put it somewhere. Keep this access key secure. Don't keep it on your laptop or your computer. People just leave it on the computer. It's not good. If something happens and you don't have access to your computer, you can't retrieve the access key. So I tell people, print it, put it somewhere safe. If you have a vault or a safe in the business, or if you're at home, print the key and put it in your socks drawer. That's another way to do it. Encrypt your backup. So depending on what kind of backup you have, it's very important that you also encrypt your backup. If by any chance hackers manage to get your external drive, your flash drive, or access your cloud account, you don't want them to have access to your files. So there is a way, most backup software have a way to encrypt your backup in rest and in transit. So even if someone managed to hack your network and try to spoof your files during transit to the cloud, the files are encrypted. So, make sure you encrypt your backup. Private public network separation. So we see it a lot with businesses that serves Wi-Fi to the public. Restaurants, breweries, playgrounds, dentists, any place that gives a public Wi-Fi for your guest, you have to separate your employee Wi-Fi and the guest Wi-Fi from each other. Doesn't have it just, I'm not talking just about the name wise, it has to be an isolated network. And here is the reason. We see it a lot within the medical facilities where they create a guest network and an employee network, but they are connected to the same network. So when you run a scanner on the network, on the guest network, you literally can see all the employees' computers and switches and everything. That's a way for hackers to hack your system. When you have an isolated network for a public network, that means they don't see anything except themselves or maybe another 1 or 2 computers in there as a guest that always go in and out. They can't see your inside network. They cannot see your servers or your employees. And it's usually also a different range of IP numbers. So they won't even find your network IP numbers. This is very, very important if your business serves public Wi-Fi. Another way to monitor that network is have a speed limit, right? You don't want your people watching, like if you have like 50 people on your public Wi-Fi watching YouTube, then your whole network goes down, right? So you want to have a speed limit on what's the speed each guest can have, for example. Some places like coffee shops, for example, have a guest portal that you have to put a code that change every 24 hours. You see it at Starbucks or Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, for example. That's something you can do also on a public Wi-Fi. Virtual private network. Virtual private network is essential, especially in COVID-19 days when people work from home or public spaces. Virtual private networks takes your network and creates another shield around it, like another private network around it. It protects your transmission in and out from the outside world. It's very important to use VPN if you work in public places. Some companies will have this as a policy. If you deal with sensitive information, you have to use VPN. There is big companies that do it outside. The two of the biggest one and the best one in the USA are PIA, Private Internet Access, and NordVPN, N-O-R-D VPN. They run around $40 per year. Stay away from cheap deals, like $15 for life. They will give you information in regard for cheap pricing. Having a VPN server is expensive, and this company needs to get paid for high security. So stay away from cheap deals. Of course, good source for VPN. Again, if you work from home or if you deal with sensitive information, ask your IT if they have a VPN for you or just get one. Software system updates. I know it sounds pretty basic, but 78% of systems out in the wild are not patched to the latest patches. Windows 10 does a good job about trying to update that most often, but again, make sure that your system is up to date. Update your systems, especially your servers, laptop, desktop. If you have an antivirus, make sure it's up to date, that your license hasn't expired. If you do have switches or firewall, they have updates also, especially in the past. We see it in the past 6 months. Cisco, Palo Alto, they're being on the news that their switches have been hacked from people that did not update to the most current patch. If you are still hanging to your old Windows 7 system, it's time to retire them. They are not compliance, especially if you are a medical field, HIPAA, you cannot use them. They are a security risk. It's time to jump to Windows 10. Do and don'ts. Okay, some basic stuff. Practice permission control. Know who needs to get access to what. Don't be very loose. I said it's always better to give less and then add into that than give too much and then take it back, because then you just lose control. Emails, when unsure, don't open. If you're not sure who's this email from, or if actually this person sent you this email, call them by phone and just verify, hey, Mr. John Doe, did you just send me this email, right? By all means, don't reply or forward this email to another person like, hey, do you know if this is a legit email, right? If this email is infected, by you forwarding this email someone else, you just infected their machine. So just don't do that. Don't surf suspicious websites. Again, if it's a work computer, just be careful, right? I mean, there is very easy website today to get software, to get like pictures, buy some stuff. Just be careful. Not all websites are secure. Some of them just try to lure you by nice pictures, videos, and then click on a link and just get infected by malicious software. Respect your IT policies. They are there for a reason. They are to protect the company, right? If a company is hit by a ransomware, for example, and the whole company network goes down for like a week or two, that can be detrimental for your business. Like the cost of being down for a business can be anywhere from like a few $1,000s per day to a couple of millions, depending on the company's size and business. So just be careful. Be vigilant about suspicious emails. We talked about it. Again, don't sure, just don't open. Use VPN when you can. Change your password every 90 days. People don't like it. So this day, use at least 10 characters, uppercase, lowercase, and special characters, of course. And by all means, please don't post it on your computer screen with the yellow post-it like, hey, this is my new password. Have a daily backup and test your backup once in a while. Consult with your IT expert. If you're not sure, you have a question, you don't know what to do, yes, you can Google, of course, information, but at some point, it's always a good idea to consult an IT expert, right? They know what they're doing. They'll give you the right advice. Sometimes you think that you know something or this is the best way to go, and they'll give you like another opinion that actually might be better for your business or the way, like how you execute your business or your workflow. And last one, don't be smarty pants, right? We see it all the time, people try to solve problems by themselves and then just make everything worse, right? Like they try to do something small and then something stopped working and then they're very afraid to say or very shy to like embarrassed to say that like, hey, we did that. And then they try to fix it and make everything worse. Sometimes by telling that like, hey, I did this, and then it might take your IT expert just 2 minutes to fix it. But if you try to fix it and mess something else, it might take us a day to fix it. So just be aware of that. You are your business, protect it or lose it. 63% of businesses, small to medium-sized businesses, are going to get hacked or lose data in the next 6 months. Most companies will not even know about it. So again, if you don't have the infrastructure to monitor and supervise your system, you'll never even know that you got hacked. So protect your asset at any cost. TopMac IT Solutions. We're locally owned. We work with small to medium size. For us, small is like 7 and up. Medium size for us is like up to 100. We serve the greater Austin area, the Austin Metro, as we call it these days. So it's Austin, Cedar Park, Leander, Liberty Hill, Georgetown, Round Rock, and Pflugerville. We're very much involved in the community. We offer customized solution. We don't have like a product that fits everybody. We work with each client based on their needs, the workflow and requirements and budget to tailor a solution for them. We specialize in network design and services. We work with other architects and contractors to help you design your new space. If you expand your office, if you buying a new building, we can help you design your network over there, Wi-Fi, wiring, firewall, security considerations, public access. We can help you with that. And helpdesk services. If you need helpdesk services, we can provide you professional helpdesk services 24/7, dedicated to you. And the goal is to help you with any problem you have whatsoever and be proactive in trying to catch errors or problems that comes up before you see them. Final thought. This is where I'm going to sign off. Passwords are like underwear. You don't let the people see it. You should change it very often, and you should not share it with strangers. And that's all for today.
All right, Gallico. We truly appreciate that. I like how I get on after the underwear final thought, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yes.
We do have a couple of questions, and we got a little bit of time here.
Yep.
So the first one is, what is the easiest way to see if a website is secure before entering your credit card information?
Usually when you go on a website, on the top left corner of the browser, you'll see a green lock icon, right? Usually, like if the website is not secure, you will not see the green lock icon. Right? It will be green or gray, but you have a lock icon on the browser address. If you don't see it, stay away from that.
Good information. How do you know if your computer is up to date with all of the security functions?
Every like Mac or Windows has like a Windows update feature, so an update feature. So on a Windows, you go to system setting and updates and backup, and you'll have the option over there for to do a Windows update. Instead, Windows 10, most of the times it's done manually, but I would definitely try it, test it out. Not all Windows. Mac usually get a notification when there is an update is coming.
Perfect. Here's one that we've seen a lot recently. How can you avoid piracy in Zoom meetings?
So Zoom meeting has just become like crazy. First of all, always when you create, if you have the Zoom, create a different link for every Zoom meeting. So don't never use your personal Zoom link. Make sure that the Zoom generates a different link every time. Have a waiting room, so you can have a waiting room for anyone that comes into the room. You can also, because you get different links and waiting room, you can control who have access to what. If you are the host of the meeting, you have this like shield icon on the bottom side of the Zoom that you can control who can, like, if they can share their screen, if they can talk, you can mute them. Make sure that by default, when you start a Zoom meeting, everybody's on mute and they cannot share the screen.
That was my problem today. I let Gallico in, so
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The last thing is not necessarily a question, but I'm guessing another safety tip would be to not have all of your passwords in a file that says passwords.
Definitely, for sure. So something that we recommend and is using a password managers. It's highly recommended. There is two companies that are very big ones, are LastPass and 1Password. The goal of this thing is like you create for yourself a vault. Like you need to remember only one password. It's going to be the last password you need to remember. Make it strong, make it count, make it at least 16 characters. And then all other passwords are just going to be inside this thing. You're going to create yourself a key to the vault that needs to be super, super strong. So don't use like an 8-character password on your vault. Use at least 16. And all the rest will just be kept over there inside. And you can use it on your Windows, Mac, cell phone, whatever you have. You can share it all over platforms. It's very very cost-effective way to manage all your passwords. And I mean, these days, fun fact, most people have 3 passwords that they use in 9 different variants. So most people use 3 passwords, and then they just mix the numbers and letters front and the back in 9 different ways, and that's it. So don't be this person that used the same password in 9 different ways, and that's it. We can tell you that, like, for me, like personally, I use a file vault that currently right now have over 700 passwords in it.
I don't have that many, but
depending on your business.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you not judging me on that, but we'll kind of just move on. That was the last question.
Perfect.
Gallico, again, thank you to Eyal Gallico and TopMac IT Solutions for giving us this great program. Want to thank again Cedar Park Economic Development for being our presenting sponsor. Please join us next month as we will have Kent Hutchison talking about time management and delegation. So with that, we will thank Gallico. Everybody have a great day. And remember, this will be up on the Chamber YouTube page very soon. So thank you all again. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tony. Have a good day. Bye.